And what's up, guys? Welcome back to the weekly recap. I'm gonna be doing this by myself today. Bill is, I believe he's working today. So just a little recap on the week's reviews. We did the big one this week. We did The Last Jedi, which people either loved it or hated it. Got a lot of hate on that one. A lot of thumbs down, a lot of dislikes. I'm not sure, maybe because we gave it kind of like a mediocre grade. I don't know why it was mediocre. It was like 7.5, which I thought it was a pretty good grade. At least to me, I think it's an okay grade, 7.5. But for a Star Wars film, I think everybody was expecting to be blown away by it. I think Brass gave it like a 7 as well. I gave it a 7.5. I think AR Media did as well. I think he was kind of disappointed in it too. But just so you guys know how we rate these things, I know, at least on some of the forums and some of the comment section, that Last Jedi, everybody was kind of disappointed in reading that our review was kind of shitty. But I guess like the movie was supposed to look that way. It was supposed to be kind of, I don't know, like muted looking or maybe kind of washed out looking, because that's what it looked like. I guess the intention was for The Last Jedi to have that kind of like that original trilogy look, not super crisp, not super clean. If that's the look that they were going for, then man, then they got a 10. They knocked it out of the park. But usually when I review these movies, I can't really speak for Brass or any of the other guys there, but usually if I'm reviewing a movie, you know, I'll watch it on my projector screen, and I'll also watch it on a 65-inch OLED, the Sony A1E. And I'll bounce back and forth between that to see if there's any like major differences. So after putting the Last Jedi, you know, I first started off on the projector and I was just like, wow, I mean, it looks kind of crappy. It looks like shit. I'm like, this is far from being reference material. So this isn't something that I can really show off my theater system to all my friends or family, anything like that. That being said, I went back. I initially saw the Blu-ray first, and I was like, the Blu-ray's not bad looking. I was like, I expected the colors kind of be a little bit drab looking on the Blu-ray, not super bold and bright and everything like that. And the audio was in 7.1, but that was like really good sounding, just for a 7.1 mix, standout mix in 7.1. But picture quality wise, I thought it was just okay. On the Blu-ray, it was okay. It was decent. If I was going to give it a rating, I might give it like an 8.5 maybe, so it's pretty good. But then after putting the 4K in, it was just like, wow. I was like, this is the same shit, man. I mean, but if that was the look that they were going for, like blacks were gray, colors were just kind of muted looking, highlights were not very bright. Film grain, I don't mind film grain. I think I mentioned that in the review that I believe the look was supposed to be somewhat like the original Star Wars movies, which is what it did look like. It was kind of soft looking, which I'm fine with that. Film is typically kind of soft looking anyways, so that was all right. But like the lack of contrast, brightness, like the things that people that buy 4K TVs and HDR, it was just lacking in The Last Jedi. So I kind of graded on that, just visually. It was 7.5. I gave it a 7.5. If it's supposed to look like that, if it was intentionally made to look drab and dour, all right, that's cool. But you know, us as consumers, we're expecting a certain level of imagery to be popping up on our displays. It just looked like a shitty movie, so we gave it a 7.5. So everybody that's kind of hating our reviews or just thinking they're really disappointed in us or whatever, the movie just doesn't look good. That's all it is. From a technical standpoint, I'm sure that 4K looks exactly how it's supposed to be, but just visually, just wasn't a striking movie. So 7.5 you get for that. Audio-wise as well, the DTS 7.1 mix was awesome sounding. I thought that sounded really good. When I first watched it, I watched it all the way through from beginning to end on the Blu-ray. Rocked everything, moved left and right, front to back, sounded really good. Obviously nothing coming from the top because it was only in 7.1. But after popping in the Atmos track on the 4K disc, I mean, right from the beginning when the ships are kind of flying towards the screen, there's like nothing. There was nothing happening, man. There was like nothing going up top, and I was like, shit, this is gonna be like Thor Ragnarok again. And man, it was just like that all the way through. Just nothing going on up top. Just real kind of disappointment in that. I think I gave that a 7 for that mix. I mean, if you guys want to hear like a really good mix, like I said, I always say on the channel, pop in Power Rangers. That's like full 360 degree, all the way around you, all the way on top of you. Just sound everywhere. This, for a Star Wars movie, which is supposed to be like the movie that started off surround sound with, you know, the first Star Wars, just wasn't doing it. Just did nothing for me. And I've read all the reviews saying that, wow, this is like reference audio, just wide spaciousness, lush sound. I was like, God, I was like, these guys, they must be listening on a sound bar or something like that, because there was none of that happening on the Atmos mix. Pretty disappointed in that. Again, Dolby Vision as well. Dolby Vision still just really didn't help out the visuals that much. I wasn't too thrilled about that. But yeah, man, Last Jedi, if it was meant to look moody and sad and just gray and like there was a fog over it the whole time, then all right, man. Technically, yeah, it looked awesome if it was supposed to look like that. Otherwise, if you're popping this in to show your friends and family, it's not the right movie to go to. So hence the 7.5 grade that I gave it. And I'm sure Brass probably felt the same way, and maybe AR Media and the other 4K reviewers on YouTube. If you guys are reading written reviews, I think they praised it highly, like 5 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5. Like it was like perfect. To me, to the rest of the YouTube community, I think it looked kind of shitty. So that's all I got to say about that. Jumanji, we also tackled Jumanji this week as well. We got that a couple weeks early also. Funny movie, Sony movie. I mean, what do you expect from Sony? I can't remember the last time they did a really bad one, except for maybe some of the older catalog titles, like maybe like the original Spider-Man. But if you guys had seen Baywatch, you'll know that Baywatch was pretty awesome looking. Great HDR, super clear, super crisp. Colors are really nice. Just all around clean transfer, no noise in the image at all, nothing like that. So Jumanji, great looking disc. The sound was pretty good as well. A lot of jungle, you know, thing takes place outside in the jungle. So there's a lot of ambiance going on over there in that movie and that soundtrack. Great disc. I gave it like an 8.5 or an 8 or something like that. Picked that up. It was also pretty funny as well. I didn't think I was going to laugh that much, but you know, The Rock always does his thing. He's good. Kevin Hart is Kevin Hart. He always does Kevin Hart. But good movie. Pick that up for sure if you guys are interested in that. I think that was a great movie. Upcoming reviews, we have I think Pitch Perfect is coming out soon, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I saw Pitch Perfect 3 and that was like really bad movie. I think they turned into spies or something like that towards the end, or I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it was just you know, it just wasn't good. So I'm going to be skipping all 3 Pitch Perfect movies. That's not be happening anytime soon. So I don't know, let me take a couple of questions from you guys here in the chat. One big question that everybody always asks, Shane, how do you get your movies early? And I always say, I don't know, you guys can start a YouTube channel, and these guys they'll sometimes offer you some review copies sometimes. And other times you have to find ways to get them earlier, whether you can import them from different areas. There's always like an upcharge that you're gonna have to pay. But if you can find those people, they'll sell them to you earlier. They're like $50 a pop, so pretty expensive. I know some people are a little butthurt that sometimes we don't show the covers or the cases for these movies. All I can say is at the end of every video, it's also in the description that we do have an Instagram, we have a Twitter, where we show the cases of these movies so you guys can check out if you guys are really interested in that. We used to do unboxings and show the discs off, and I used to have this little montage of opening the discs. I try to do a little bit differently than everybody else. That took me like an hour, sometimes an hour and a half to edit, and that's a long time to do an unboxing video and mix it with music. And I don't know, I didn't get a lot of feedback on it, so it was like I could probably cut out an hour and a half of my workflow producing these videos, which cut down editing and considerably, so I can get the reviews up faster for you guys to watch. So Scott Sullivan, Sony may have some of the worst films, but they have the best transfers, which is true. And one more thing about the Star Wars movie, The Last Jedi. I know people were thinking that maybe there was some bias against, us hating The Last Jedi, so we gave it a bad grade, which really has nothing to do with ranking the movie and giving it a 7.5. Whether or not we like it or not, I've watched so many movies on here that were horrible, and I've gave them almost perfect scores. I think any of you guys that have watched my top 10 list, I think most of you would agree that you probably hate most of those movies on there. Something that was awesome looking, that was just like a pure shit movie, was I think Resident Evil. The final chapter. It's probably one of the worst movies I've seen, but one of the best looking movies I've seen. Also, again, it's a Sony transfer, so strong feelings there for Star Wars. A lot of comments on that. And also, I mean, when you're watching The Last Jedi, the whole time I was watching The Last Jedi, I was thinking, man, a lot of these scenes are going to be awesome in 3D, so hopefully I'm going to have the 3D in here soon, another week or two, to compare the 4K and the 3D. Unfortunately, 3D is like non-existent here in the US, so we're going to have to import all the time, either through Amazon, or you're going to have to hunt on like eBay or something like that. Usually on eBay, those guys kind of want to charge you an arm and a leg, like $45-50, which sucks, but that's like the only way you're going to get 3Ds nowadays here, at least in the US. I guess in the UK it's like everywhere, so that's a bummer. And one more thing, I know a lot of people want to they're upset about Jedi being kind of crappy looking. Also, what may be crappy looking to me may not be crappy looking to you. That's why I was saying in the videos, hey, I'm going to give you my thoughts. My thoughts are obviously different than everybody else's thoughts, but I thought it was kind of crappy looking, so I wouldn't say definitely cancel your pre-orders and just buy the Blu-ray, because, I mean, it's still the best way to watch the movie, whether it be even the slightest bit better than the Blu-ray or tremendously, but it's still better than the Blu-ray, and the audio is better than the Blu-ray as well. There is a little bit of stuff going on up there. It's just not tremendous. It's not what you're going to expect from a Star Wars movie, but there's stuff going on up there. It's just, it wasn't mind-blowing. I was hoping it was going to be mind-blowing. Mark Hererra. Thank you, Mark Hererra, for being a Patreon subscriber. You're a fan of Resident Evil movies and cheesy movies. I'm a fan of like the first couple of Resident Evil movies. After like number 2, I think I just started hating them. Transformers, Web West, Transformers Last Night, 4K looks good, but a bad movie. See, I enjoy the Transformers movies. They're about an hour too long. Every one of them is like an hour too long for me. They just shaved off 45 minutes to an hour. I think there'd be some really good action movies. And I wish they would just use the original Transformers and Decepticon designs from like the 80s cartoons. Like, we got the box looking Optimus Prime at the beginning of the last one, I think it was. Then he went back to the long nose kind of truck. I was kind of disappointed in that. That was a bummer. And then why is Bumblebee why is he still a fucking Trans Am or whatever he is? That sucks. Like, he's got to be a fucking a Beetle. Speaking of which, I think they're making a new Bumblebee spin-off, which he is a Volkswagen Beetle. So at least there's some positivity going on in that movie. Which disc that you originally thought was the best Blu-ray transfer for this month, Jumanji or Justice League? It's a question from Konisberg Productions. What do I think looks the best, Justice League or Jumanji? I actually like Justice League better. That's probably the best looking so far, with Jumanji being pretty close second. Colors and everything was just pretty punchy, pretty vibrant. It was just sharper, maybe just a little bit sharper on Justice League as well. Maybe like 2%, very slight. I mean, after I watched The Last Jedi, I actually put in, because I thought maybe my projector was going dim, so I had to put in Justice League again, and I was just like, wow. I was like, that's HDR. I was like, that's what colors look like. That's what sharpness looks like. And then I went back to Jedi, and I was like, okay, apparently this is just what the disc looks like. So, and I'm excited for Pacific Rim Uprising. I'm not really excited to see it. I mean, I was just like, the first one was okay. It has really good 3D, but you know, I could go either way with Pacific Rim. I do have a movie pass, so I most likely will go see it at the theater. So I'll probably go check it out whenever that comes out. Joseph Hardison, what do you think about Kong Skull Island? I've been going back and forth about picking up the movie. Well, Joseph, I did do a review on the movie. Well, on the disc. I enjoyed that movie. I gave it pretty good praise. I think I gave like an 8, 8.5, something like that. The audio was really good. I remember the audio pretty distinctly. Good sounding disc. Visuals, there's some grain in it. If you don't like film grain, I wouldn't go for that one. But great looking disc. If you can get it for a good price, I'd pick it up. I enjoyed it. Especially 3D. If you got the 3D version of it, it's pretty standout disc as well. Scott Sullivan, yeah, Pitch Perfect 3 did suck ass. I gave it a D+ on my channel. It did suck. I think I got like halfway through and I was just like, man, this is not good. Yeah, I think there was a lot of people that said they had seen it, The Last Jedi, in the theater as well, and I saw it here in Connecticut at the Maritime Aquarium, in the big jumbo size, the big original, like one of those real IMAX theaters. And I remember thinking that it never really switched aspect ratio, so that kind of threw me off. I thought it was supposed to switch aspect ratios. But color-wise, I can't really reference color-wise to the theater because that particular IMAX, it's like not the best. So it did kind of look like what it did here on the 4K disc. But so do all their movies. They just kind of look kind of dull and washed out, like they never changed the bulb there. So, but I guess other people have seen The Last Jedi and said Dolby Vision, it looks spectacular in Dolby Vision, yada yada. But I mean, maybe it's different at the theater than it is at the house. That just wasn't the experience I got when I watched it here. Carl Johnson, DC seems to be overtaking Marvel in quality of movies. Thor and Guardians 2 were too campy for my liking. Man, Carl Johnson, I gotta agree with that one. I had fun with Guardians 1. I felt that there was just the right amount of humor mixed in with the with action and being serious. Guardians 2 just really went Adam West Batman style comedy. So did Thor. I wasn't really feeling it that much. The only redeeming factor for Thor would be the 3D transfer. If you guys had seen that, like the best 3D I think I've seen in since I first saw Avatar. Also, Guardians 2, I gave Guardians 2 like a weak rating as well. Like people hated my review on that one too. So that's kind of reminiscent of the Last Jedi review. Like I wasn't too thrilled about the way that looked either. Which happens to be a Disney movie also. Last question. Are you excited about Avengers Infinity War? Have you seen the new trailer? I haven't seen the new trailer for Infinity War because usually for movies I watch one trailer and then I won't watch any more trailers. Just because I like to go in fresh mind. I don't want to have any visual spoilers going into any new releases. So I only do one trailer and then that's it. I'm done. Remember when you were a kid and you saw like the trailer during the movie you were actually watching, you saw the preview for it, you're like, oh wow, can't wait, there's a new Terminator movie coming out, and then you couldn't see it again on the internet or on your TV ever again. You saw it once at the theater, and then you had to wait for the movie poster to come out, or maybe read about it in a magazine, and then you went to the theater. That's why I only watch one trailer when they announce something. So I want to do the live stream today to address the Last Jedi video. So anybody that was concerned about why did we give it a 7.5, are we just concerned about seeing super bright bold colors and bright highlights and all this other stuff? A lot of people were just like, oh, these guys, saying they just want this and this and this and their expectations, they're just knocking it because they hate the movie. It's not the case at all. Just visually just wasn't a good looking movie, so we just rated it on that aspect alone. Just wasn't visually appealing, that's all. That's why we gave it a 7.5. If it was supposed to look dark and drab, then good job, you accomplished it. But for the home theater enthusiasts with nice 4K TVs, this is what you're gonna get. That's how we rated it as such. So thanks guys for checking out the stream today. If If you guys have any other future questions, there's an email address right down there below. Bam, bam, bam. Hit us up right there. We'll do like a long show of a bunch of questions that we've gotten sent to us, and we'll do that maybe like another week or so. So thanks guys for checking out the video. We'll see you guys again in the next one.